So where does political authority really come from? I mean, is it just about raw power, about force, or is there something more going on? Today, we're going to jump right into that question by exploring the, honestly, pretty radical ideas of the theologian Oliver O'Donovan. He offers a biblical way of looking at government that might just change how you see our place in the public square. Okay, let's get right into it with a question that, we all deal with every day. Why do you stop at a red light at 3 in the morning when there's nobody else around, right? Or why do we pay our taxes? Is it just because we're afraid of getting caught? Or is there something deeper, something legitimate that actually commands our free obedience? This right here, this is the fundamental puzzle of political life. All right, so to help us answer this, O'Donovan gives us a really precise definition to work with. He argues that true authority, the real deal, isn't about forcing us or crushing our will. In fact, it's the exact opposite. He calls it the objective correlate of freedom. What does that mean? It means authority doesn't get rid of our choice. It actually gives us a good reason to choose. It makes our free actions make sense. This little table here is super helpful for getting our terms straight. Let's look at the differences, because they're huge. Force, right at the top. That just treats you like a rock. It just moves you, overrides your will completely. Power, well, that's a bit broader. It's just the ability to get stuff done, by whatever means necessary. But look at authority. It's totally different. It evokes a free response. It gives us the grounds, the reason to act freely and with purpose. Getting this distinction is absolutely crucial for everything else we're going to talk about. So, this brings us to what O'Donovan calls the mystery of political authority. Think about it. A government command often feels like a constraint, right? A law tells you what you can't do. And yet, for it to be legit, we have to believe that somehow it's actually for our own good. So how can something that holds us back also be the very thing that helps us flourish? Any real theory of politics has to solve this mystery. So for centuries, Western thinking has basically served up two main answers to this mystery. But as O'Donovan sees it, both of them, for all their good intentions, just don't quite get it right. Let's take a quick look at what they are and why they fall short. Okay, so you've got two camps. On one side, you have the humanist theory. This is the whole social contract idea, that authority just comes from our own collective will. But as O'Donovan points out, there's a big problem. Our will is fickle. It's always changing. So we end up feeling trapped by rules we made yesterday. Then on the other side, you have the standard theistic theory. This one says authority just comes from God's will, kind of dropped on us like a meteor from space. The problem there? It can make God's rule feel totally random and, frankly, a bit scary, completely disconnected from our lives and our own good. So if both of those answers are unsatisfying, where do we go? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. O'Donovan says, look, we have to go back to the scriptures, because in them we find a completely different foundation, a third way that ancient Israel announced to the world. And this third way is what O'Donovan calls Israel's radical claim. And listen, this isn't just another dusty philosophical theory. No, it's a proclamation. It's an announcement based on something that happened in history, a revelation that just changes everything. And here is that claim, in just 2 words. Yahweh Malak, the Lord is King. When ancient Israel sang this, it wasn't just a nice religious sentiment. It was an explosive political statement. This was their ultimate declaration about where true, legitimate, and final authority actually comes from. It wasn't a theory. It was a reality they confess. And we have to get this part right. When Israel said God is king, they weren't talking about raw, coercive power. Not at all. They were talking about an authority that calls us to our fulfillment. The king's command isn't some alien rule forced upon us. It's the very thing that aligns with the purpose for which we were created. It leads to our flourishing. Okay, so the Lord is king. It sounds good, but what does it actually look like? What does it mean in practice? O'Donovan says that Israel's scriptures unpack this amazing reality for us in 3 essential actions. Let's call them the 3 pillars of God's rule. The first pillar is salvation, or you could say victory. See, God's authority isn't some abstract principle. It's established in real history. The classic example, of course, is the Exodus. He proved his kingship by victoriously delivering his people from slavery. So authority begins with a mighty act of rescue. It's demonstrated, not just declared. The second pillar is judgment, or mishpat. Now, when we hear judgment, we often think of a static set of rules or a final verdict, but that's not quite it. For O'Donovan, biblical justice is an ongoing activity. It's the active performance of making a clear, public distinction between right and wrong, bringing order out of chaos. A true king is one who actively judges his people with righteousness. And the third pillar is possession, or inheritance. God's rule doesn't just save individuals and make good decisions. It actually creates a people. It gives them a real corporate identity and a place to belong. This possession, whether it's the land or later the law, is something shared, something passed down, giving the community a solid place to stand and a story to live in. So do you see the flow here? It's not just a random list. It's a sequence. God acts in history to save his people. He then establishes a righteous order through his judgment. And out of that, he creates a distinct people with a lasting identity and inheritance. Salvation, judgment, possession. That is what divine rule actually looks like in action. All right, so that's God's side of the equation. That's how he demonstrates his authority. But what about us? What's our part in all this? How do human beings respond to this kind of king? Well, O'Donovan argues the response isn't just grudging obedience. It's something much deeper, much more foundational. I mean, just let this verse from Psalm 22 sink in for a moment. It's breathtaking. God is enthroned upon the praises of Israel. Wow. What does that mean? It means the place where his rule is acknowledged, the arena where his throne becomes visible on earth, is in the worship of his people. Now, let's be super clear about this. Our praise doesn't make God the king. He is king, period, whether we sing about it or not. But our worship, our praise, is the arena where his kingship takes effect. It's where his rule becomes a visible political reality in the world. When the community gathers to praise its one true king, it is displaying its true political identity for all to see. And this, my friends, brings us right home to a final, and I think deeply challenging question for us today. If O'Donovan is right, if true authority is revealed in God's salvation, his justice, and the identity he gives us, and if that rule is made real in our praise, what on earth does that mean for us, for the church, right here in Nigeria, right now? How does our worship, how does our witness become a real, tangible, political display of the true king, the one who saves, who judges rightly, and who gives us our true inheritance? Now that is a question worth wrestling with long after we're done here.